I gotta talk about it. All last week, I was talking about the job lynch mobs, the social justice warriors, the Doxxers, the people coming to take away your livelihood because you had an internet disagreement. And of all weeks to do it, Maddox just had to finally get on my last nerve with it. I just had enough. It's a breaking point. I don't know what to do anymore. For those who don't know, Maddox, the internet's Maddox, he was a friend of mine. Is a friend of mine? I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a real long time in a personal way, but I, of course, was on his network for a time. Now, this was over a year ago, but he had a podcast network. My show was sort of part of it. I also had another show that was definitely part of it. It's a whole thing. And I'll be honest, if you don't know the entire drama between Maddox and the internet's Dick Masterson, you're going to have to go watch something else to understand this one, because I'm not going to get into every petty little detail of it. I'm going to get petty, but mostly about Maddox, because I've had so many people saying to me, Jesse, Maddox is a goon. You're kind of being, I mean, if you bully the internet and if you like to make fun of these goons, how is Maddox not one of those people? You're being a hypocrite, and you guys are right. You're 100% right. I've been a hypocrite for a long time now, not discussing this. Now, what you don't know is, behind the scenes, I have spoken to Maddox about this stuff many times. I'm sure he doesn't even recall at this point, but I have made these points to him many, many, many times in the past. And every time I've ever given the man advice, and a lot of people out there probably watching this show this time especially don't like me, and so you probably think, well, I'm a kind of stupid guy who would want to take my advice. Look, I'm pretty clever, okay? I get by when it comes to the internet especially. You might have noticed that about me. I'm sort of like a cockroach. I'm going to be here when the rest of you are all dead and gone. That's 100% certain. And I've given Maddox gold when it comes to advice on how to handle the onslaught of guys that hate him, these trolls, the dickheads, as they're known, the fan group of his former podcast co-host, Dick Masterson, has been turning Maddox into a lol cow for 3 years now, and they've milked him till his teats became whizzle. And I don't know how they keep finding milk, but they do, which means, legally speaking, Maddox, and I do mean legally speaking, Maddox is one of the internet's, one of the Earth's goons. Now, we have friends of this show who are goons. I got no problem with that. That's not the issue. I know I'm going to be looked at as a hypocrite during this episode, but I am not here to defend myself on this, and I'm certainly not here to defend Maddox. I'm just here to give you my point of view when it comes to maybe the oldest e-celeb there's ever been. And I do mean oldest. And a guy old enough, by the way, old enough that he definitely should not have lost his mind this past week and started doxing and trying to get people's jobs taken away. Idiot people who mess with him online. A guy who's been doing it for so long, one of his most famous things was that he answered hate mail, and he was the guy who knew how to handle it. And now, in the current internet, an internet that is far less a hate machine than it was in the past, he no longer knows how to deal with it. A man old enough who he definitely shouldn't have freaked out just because it was found out that he has a child's bedroom and I do mean a child's bedroom. You see, Maddox, I consider you a friend, and I will always be thankful for the things you've done for me. But this bedroom is ridiculous, and I hate to say it, it kind of seems like you're freaking out the most right now because people found out you sleep here. Now, I have seen his bedroom before in person. I can talk about this at length. That won't be tonight's entire thing. I will tell you my side of this, my perspective of this, why I've been quiet for as long as I have, and a whole lot more. We'll get into the Dick Show. We'll get into all of that. And I didn't want to talk about this. But again, I feel like I have to. I feel like I have been a hypocrite for not doing this sooner. That's my bad. And this is my way of apologizing to you. Remember, you asked for this. My hand was forced. Let's go finally bully the internet. This is Pod Awful.
Pod Awful TV. Oh, y'all is doing it right. Pod Awful sucks, you faggot. Puss boy. Keep your day job. You scam artist, douchebag. You're the worst. Motherfucker. Get off. You fucking little piece of shit.
You're crazy. You're sick of your head.
Fucking dweeb. Faggot. Jackass. Pod Awful sucks. You know what? You're not funny. I want to really kick your ass. You're human trash.
My mom doesn't like it when I mention Pod Awful anymore.
Yeah, people in the chat room already begging me, let's get petty. Let's get petty. Well, we're going to get petty. We're going to get Richard Petty. Dick Petty. If you know what I'm talking about. Scam artists, they say. I smell a world war coming. No. We've already done all that, you know. Pod Awful sucks. Thank you so much, Ego Makes Beats, for saying that. Season Infinity. Thank you so much, everybody. Welcome to Pod Awful Season Infinity. Where obviously now anything goes, and that means even turning on our bros. Guys, it's official. Let's do it.
You're welcome.
Maddox is a goon. Now, I do want to get into this entire bedroom fiasco here. I mean, listen, I have made fun of my listeners' bedrooms. This is an old bit on the show, actually, where we'd have listeners call in and I could see their room or their house, and I would go through and make fun of it. So for me to not make fun of this bedroom would be ridiculous. And I know it's all been done at this point, but we will get to this bedroom. I feel like before I do that, though, I do have to do some explaining. And again, I'm not here to defend myself or anybody, really, but I feel like I do have to offer up an explanation on a couple things just because I know who's going to be watching this, just because I know there's going to be questions on some of these things. I want to try to get through this as quickly as possible because I ain't really interested in this shit. But I know two thoughts that are going to be on people's minds, especially the dickheads who tune into this, and I know they are. The first one's going to be, Jesse, why did you go with Maddox? Why didn't you go with Dick? It was the obvious winning boat, right? Why didn't you go with Dick during all of this? Now, some of you know this. Those of you who follow me will already know all of these things, really. This is for the people on the outside of this. This is for the people who might tune in because they saw the word Maddox. I don't know. And I ain't doing it. By the way, I'm not doing this for clicks. I'm not doing this to get people subscribing to my Patreon. I don't have a Patreon. Thanks, dickheads. But I'm not, this ain't that, okay? It's literally, I spent the entire last week talking about people going after people's jobs and how fucking shitty those people are. And now a guy I consider a friend has been doing that for the past week, and I lost it. You guys saw it on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, or if you're a fan of The Dick Show, you've probably seen it by now. I lost it on Maddox in his comment section on Facebook because I couldn't believe what I was seeing from him. It's gotten to a point where it's too ridiculous. And I know, it's been ridiculous for a long time. I know. But this is beyond what I could handle, especially considering that the past week I spent protecting people from having their jobs lost. I invented this thing called Walmart New York City. And by the way, dickheads, You are welcome to list your job online as Walmart New York City. And what will happen is, if anybody goes after your job, they have to talk to me. And instead of having your job taken from you, you get hilarious content out of it at worst. At worst, okay? So I invented this thing to protect people, and then a guy who I consider a friend was doing it and had the nerve to tell me I should understand more than anybody why he's doing it. You're ridiculous, Maddox. You're completely ridiculous. So since I'm dressed like Ethan Klein, I will be addressing Maddox directly during some of this. Maybe that way he'll actually listen to my advice for once during some of this. But anyway, so I know people are asking, why didn't you go with Dick during all of this? Now, keep in mind, at the beginning of all of this, when the split and if you don't know the story, guys, I can't help you. There's other things out there that'll give you the story behind all of this. You have to already be at least at the level of that amount of knowledge, okay, to understand the rest of this show. When the split happened, I was not friends with Maddox. I was like the rest of you guys. I was completely in the dark, okay? I listened to The Biggest Problem in the Universe, the podcast that Maddox and Dick co-hosted together, as a fan of Dick Masterson. That's true. I have never in my life read a Maddox article. Up until that point, I had never read a Maddox article. I had never read Maddox's website before this. I've never read his books. Even to this day, I haven't read his books, and I'm thanked in one of them. Okay? I'm in the thank yous for Fuck Whales, and I still haven't read it. He gave me the copy. I was never a Maddox fan. Doesn't mean I didn't like him. I think he's a funny guy. I still think he's funny. But I did not grow up reading Maddox like every single Dick Show fan did, okay? I grew up liking Dick Masterson. That's true. That was my guy. That was my internet guy when I was that age, okay? So I came to The Biggest Problem as a Dick guy, as a Dick Masterson guy. And so, you're probably wondering to yourself, Jesse, why did you go then with Maddox after the split? Again, we didn't know what was going on. At that point, here's what I knew. They weren't doing the podcast anymore. Maddox was starting a new podcast network. And I had been doing a podcast as a hobby for, 6.5 years or something at that point. Been doing it as a hobby, and I had just decided anyway, I'm going to make this my job. I've been doing it long enough. I've been doing it longer than anybody else I really know. And I think I can make the best show if I just focus all of my energy into it. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to need a little bit of a leg up. And I don't like these podcast networks. I'd made 3 of my own in the past. But if I'm not the one doing all the work, if I'm not the one running everything, that might be good. So I just joined a podcast network. And the reason I went with Maddox after all of that is I was a complete fucking nobody. Maddox did not know me from a hole in the ground. Nobody had any idea who I was. I reached out to him on a whim and said, hey man, look, I make this podcast. It's the best. It's the funniest show. You should have it on your network. And he said yes. Nobody else would give me the time of day if I tried that with him, I'm sure. So for that reason, I will always be thankful for Maddox because he saw a potential there that nobody else was going to see. And if, again, most of you out there watching this in derision right now aren't agreeing with that, but go ahead, keep not agreeing with that. I'll be the biggest fucking thing on earth at some point. But I do make the funniest fucking show. And I will say this, after doing that, I then took a bunch of Maddox's fans and made them my fans. And I don't mean they stayed fans of Maddox. They converted to mine. I stole them from him. And a lot of you guys watching right now are those people. Okay? So I don't know how that happened. I wasn't trying to do that. But from day one, I have always been about one thing, and that's me, okay? I've seen one guy get it right, He said this on the Dick Show subreddit. He said, Jesse's chaotic neutral. Don't try to make sense of his decision-making. True. I'm only doing whatever makes me laugh or whatever will benefit me. And the funny thing is, we've been trolling Maddox basically to his face for over a year now. I mean, we've been doing a lot of stuff to the guy as a joke, but it was friendly trolling, you know? It's like ribbing your friend, that sort of thing. But why didn't I go with Dick after the obvious shit came out? You probably thought I knew stuff that you guys didn't, but until Maddox dropped that Dick Lies video, I had been telling him, I don't want to know what your personal beef with this guy is. I told him that. I said, look, I'm a fan of both of you. I wasn't. I was a fan of Dick. But I was friends with Maddox. I'm a fan of Dick. And I said, I don't care what's going on in your relationship with a man because that would be gay. And I'm not gay. So I never asked. I never cared. I didn't care afterward. I just got dragged into it. Maddox insisted on telling me this stuff. I really did. I've got emails and stuff proving this where I'm like, you keep it to, I don't care. Whatever it is, who cares, man? I'm in it for doing podcasts. That's it. He tells me everything. I get dragged in. When that video comes out, I tell him, listen, man, I'm glad for you finally saying something back. You've been silent for all this time, which is a weird move. I never understood why he was quiet about all of this. Why didn't he come out in front? And by the way, if Maddox had come out swinging before Dick even had his show, we might exist in a parallel universe right now. Things might be wildly different. Kind of the first guy to get to the narrative controls the narrative. I mean, history is not necessarily written by the winners, but the guy who showed up early. So I told him, though, I'm glad you're finally hitting back. I don't know about this whole rape list thing, though. That part seems wildly out of context. And I said that because I agreed with Dick with what he said on there. I certainly didn't think Dick made the rape list thing on 8chan. And I had made exactly the same points about women needing to protect themselves on an episode of Maddox's podcast. My very first episode as a guest on there, I went on and said the exact same shit as Dick, not knowing that that had happened before with him and Dick, because that was all a secret. Remember, he edited that out of the podcast originally. But why didn't I go with Dick after all of that? After all of that, why would I not go, okay, you know what? Time to abandon ship. Let's get on the Dick train. Well, it wasn't just because of how gay that sounds. The biggest reason I didn't, other than feeling a slight sense of loyalty to a guy who did me a huge favor, and it was a slight sense, by the way, much less than you think. Maddox never told me to do anything. I never had any contracts with Maddox. I never even used any of the sponsors he had that you guys went after, the dickheads. I wasn't interested in any of these things because, again, I'm not interested in winning or losing, okay? I'm a mental psychopath. It just doesn't matter to me. So why didn't I go with Dick? Because the crux of this entire thing is based on a provable lie. And I can easily prove it. I mean, anybody with half a brain already knows it's a lie. But remember, all of the real seething hatred, the autistic trolling rage, the hate machine started when Dick told his fans, when he came up with the concept, which we have since ironically been using the term, the concept of the job lynch mob. He said Maddox went after his job. And of course, he equated that to these types of people we've been talking about for a week now who do the same kind of thing. There's just one problem. And again, I'm not relitigating this. I don't give a shit. Fine. You go with whoever you want. I don't care anymore. Okay? I'm just explaining my thought process back then, and it's my thought process now. All right? He lied. No job lynch mob ever came after Dick. Because one, Maddox is One man. That's not a mob. 2, Maddox had no fans doing anything for him. That's more of a dick show thing. It wasn't a mob that came after him. And 3, and this is the most important part, UCB, the Upright Citizens Brigade Improv Theater, is not a job. Now, I don't mean it's not a job because it's lame or because it's gay. I used to perform at the UCB, and myself and anyone in improv would know UCB does not pay its performers ever. Nobody makes money at UCB unless they're a teacher, which Dick was not. He was not a teacher. He performed in one show every month or every other month. That's it. One show, like every other month. Okay? The Tournament of Nerds. I'm very familiar. He never had a W-2. He never got a paycheck from UCB. He did not lose a job. So when I heard him do this thing where he said the job lynch mob is coming after me, I thought, well, that's kind of despicable. You're lying. You're trying to paint Maddox into being this thing he's not, because that's not what happened. Now, I don't agree with what Maddox said with the rape list thing. I don't agree with that. I also don't agree with Dick. It's both. Okay? It can be both. I don't care, but that's why I would never go with Dick. I was already with Maddox. I was just already in that boat. I'm not going to jump to a different shitty boat. I'm just going to stay in my boat because it's doing me fine. And it did me great. This is still my only job. Here we are 3 years later. I'm doing the best I've ever done in life. I'm secretly rich. Okay? So that is why I did not go with Dick. He lied. It is a lie. He did not lose a job. He was not even banned from UCB, the theater, until after he made that podcast about job lynch mobs. This is something you guys don't know. He wasn't banned, but he was let go from that show, which is odd because the people in it were presumably his friends for the past however many years. For like 7 to 10 years, those people were his friends. And now suddenly one guy says, well, he said something kind of mean. And they all go, you're the most despicable creature of all time. We are now done being your friend. Now, I've been in exactly that same boat. So I'm not saying maybe they had reason to believe he is sort of a rapey nigga, something I've been called before. I've been in literally this exact same boat. I mean, with a comedy theater, with people who I thought were my friends, just turning on me because it was convenient. I've been there, man. So I'm not here to cast dispersions on whatever that might have been. I've seen some things in some UCB LA Facebook groups of ladies nicknaming Dick certain things, but I believe all women are liars, so I don't care. To me, it could go either way, and I don't care. To be honest, I don't care if Dick raped a woman, okay? How about that? How about it if Dick came on his next show, his next podcast, and he raped a woman on camera, and I didn't know that woman? I'd keep just walking on by the internet, just I can't whistle, but I'd try. I would try real hard to whistle in that moment, okay? I am pro-rape, somebody says in the chat room. And I'm allowed to say this because I am Ethan Klein tonight. So you're allowed to say the bad stuff on YouTube if you are Ethan Klein. I know enough lawyers. All right? Again, I don't care. I'm not lying or implying. I am stating a fact. No job lynch mob ever happened to Dick, ever. Okay? He did not have a real job when this happened. UCB is not a job. They do not pay him. He was not even banned until after that podcast. And guess what got him banned from the theater? He made that podcast, and some enterprising autistic dickhead drove by the UCB theater, and in retaliation on behalf of Dick, and I'm not saying this is Dick's fault, he can't help what retards follow him, but somebody drove by the theater and threw a bag of garbage at it. And after that happened, the theater said, Dax, we're good. Thanks. Thank you. Please don't come back. Okay? That is what happened. I know that for a fact. I've seen enough people that are not Maddox who have corroborated that story. Again, I'm into that world. All right? I certainly was back then. I was much more so back then. I've seen the Facebook groups. I've seen all the chat about this, and I was aware of this happening at the time. So the man who invented the job lynch mob, he was victimizing himself on a lie, which is, all you've got there is Maddox is an SJW for going after someone's job, and Dick is an SJW for victimizing himself. And like I said from the beginning, two men pussyfooting around over their relationship with one another while doing that stuff is a little elegant. Okay? It's for the birds. And that means it ain't for me. That's why I didn't go with Dick. Now, that's the first thing I feel like I have to address here. Let me see what they're saying in the chat room. UCB doesn't even pay famous stand-up comics to perform there, apparently. Thank you, Plank. That is 100% true, and I actually meant to make that point. I have seen Louis C.K. perform at UCB in person. I've seen Louis C.K., Robin Williams I've seen perform at UCB. I mean, the list goes on and on of very famous theater. Aziz Ansari. I mean, he started at UCB, but I saw him after he was selling out theaters, okay, selling out arenas. All of these people I've seen perform there, they made no money. $0. So if you think Dick Masterson, Dax Herrera, made one goddamn red cent from going to UCB every other month for a show where they did costume comedy, you're a retard. No, you're not. I take that back. There's no reason to be mean. Why would you know that? But everybody in the improv, I mean, this is a conversation every single year within the improv community of LA and New York where they go, shouldn't UCB pay its performers? Kind of shitty that they don't. It's a little bit communist, right? Now, I've left UCB. I'm no fan of UCB, just like Dick. I get his side of all that stuff. I just can't comport with the lie. And it's a lie, and he's still telling it to this day. He's telling, because I watched his latest bonus episode. I've got it here in front of me. I watched his latest bonus episode. He's still talking about it. And it's very ironic that the guy who victimized himself, and again, I don't care, but the guy who victimized himself and invented the job lynch mob, he not only did he lie about it, but then he twisted his own concept of the job lynch mob to sort of quietly encourage his listeners to go after me and thus Maddox and our livelihoods. He's done the exact same thing. And then cried when I retaliated against that. Now, that's something else we have to talk about. The other question I assume people have, and I know Dick has this question because I saw him ask it. Why did if I was against the lawsuit, which I've famously said, I've done a whole episode on the bajillion-dollar lawsuit that Maddox filed against Dick, and I've said from the beginning, I think lawsuits in general are for the birds, are elegant. If I was against it, why did I sign an affidavit? Why was I a part of it? And I will explain to you why. Number one, the number one reason... well, actually, no, this is not the number one reason, but this is what made me crack and do it. Maddox begged me to sign that affidavit. And I mean begged for weeks to sign it. And I did not want to do it. I kept telling him, lawsuits are gay. Stop taking the internet to the real world. All you're doing is lining Dick's pockets by doing this. You're making this 1,000,000 times worse for yourself. Don't drag me into it. He begged me. He offered to pay the notary public that I would have to use to get the affidavit signed. All this stuff. He begged, and I eventually broke because of that, because I felt bad for the guy. It's as simple as that. But the real reason I did it is because the part I signed, it ironically had nothing to do with Maddox's case. And I tried to explain that to him. I said, you realize I can sign this thing. They're just going to ignore it. The judge will probably go, fuck this, throw it away, because it has nothing to do with your case. Instead, it would be helpful if I was suing someone, and that someone is a guy by the name of Asterios Kokinos. 3 years ago, I tried to warn you people that this guy Asterios is one of the shittiest human beings on earth. I said he's a worm. He's a worm. You'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who could tell me otherwise at this point. The man hasn't even appeared on the Dick Show for a year now. Asterios Kokin knows, the most unfunniest dude ever. Cookie knows. So Jesse went against his principles. I didn't, and I'm about to explain why. I went against my better judgment, yes, but not against my principles. In fact, I ended up signing the affidavit because of my principles. The quick backstory here, as quick as I can fucking make it, because I've told this story a million times already. I shouldn't have, and again, I ain't defending myself here. Actually, you know what? Let me start this off by saying I am 100% justified in every single action I've ever taken when it comes to any of the matters surrounding all of this. I am both morally justified on almost all of them, like 80 to 90% of it morally justified. And then the rest, I'm justified in that it was really funny and didn't hurt anybody. That's a small percentage of it. But let me tell you something. Anything done against this Asterios motherfucker was 1 billion% justified, okay? 6 million% justified. And I would do it again in a fucking heartbeat. Now I got every screenshot I need to prove it to you. I'm not going to sit here and open up my email to do it, but you want to private message me for it? You want to go back through all of my fucking Reddit posts and find this stuff, because I've already proven this a million times. Any episode of my show where I talked about Asterios, feel free. But this fucking elegant grids factory, this toe-tapping Burgermeister Asterios. A lot of people think I'm mad at him because he got my Patreon taken down. Nope. Not what happened. Because he didn't get it taken down. He didn't help, but he's not the reason it got taken down. Asterios started offering people $10 each to flag any video where I mentioned his name. That's it. If I said Asterios Kokinos, he would pay you $10 for every single video you flagged of me doing that. Then he took it a step further, and he offered to pay people money. By the way, posting an image of himself holding up stacks of cash. Where's that money now, Asterios? Do you need Dick to sign a check for you? Him holding these stacks of cash, offering money to people to contact PayPal, Patreon, YouTube, Reddit somehow, Twitter, any place, the old streaming platforms we used to use on the show, Hitbox, anywhere where he thought I could make $1, he told people he'd pay them to get me kicked off of there. Now, the reasoning he gave for that, he said I was calling people's works, their jobs, and I was doxing them. It's not true. Believe what you want. It ain't fucking true, man. I've called one person's work ever, when it comes to all of this. One person. And you know whose person's job I called? Which person? Asterios fucking Kokinos. And you know why I did it? Because he was offering to pay people to make sure I couldn't survive. And that's a quote. I'm quoting him. He said, we need to make sure he can't survive. Now, this thing I've been talking about for a week, this going after people's jobs, what did I say? Last Sunday, before I knew I'd be talking about this, I said, if someone goes after your job, they're going after your life. That's your livelihood. They're making sure you will die. as best they can without killing you. It's a legal way of killing you, essentially. And why do I think so strongly about that? Because this Greek fuckwad offered to pay people to make sure I could not survive. And only after that happened did I call his job. Now, as I've said very recently, I'm an eye for an eye kind of guy. I feel like if someone goes after your job, you are now in a self-defense situation. And you can do anything you want to try to get out of it. And I mean anything, by the way. Let me be very clear. If I think someone is going after my job, and I think that is someone going after my life, I believe my life is under threat. I'm talking anything. So Asterios is lucky all I did was fire off a warning shot. And that's what I was doing. I had no intention of trying to get Asterios fired from his gay job, his loser job. A guy who should have been making money doing comedy for years at that point. Couldn't afford to live in New York City. So somehow I was affording to live in New York City off of a podcast that I was having my Patreon taken away from. And Asterios, with all his many writing jobs in comedy and appearing on the Dick Show and all this stuff, couldn't afford it, despite the fact that he was still taking his laundry to his mom's house to do as a 30-something-year-old man. He couldn't afford it. Now, I guess that's because he was paying alimony to his wife who left him because literally she's allergic to him. That is true. But I digress. I called his work to make him stop fucking with me. And that is the only reason. I called his work, I spoke to HR, and I said the same thing that every dickhead said when they called the sponsors or contacted the sponsors of Madcast because I said the N-word, which, by the way, I'd said a million times. Rucka on the show has a million songs with every slur on there. We use this as an excuse. That was some SJW shit, too. I don't care. Internet fights, whatever. That Harry's was never my sponsor. I lost nothing. But for Dick's information and for the dickheads' information, because they seem to not be sure of this, absolutely contacting Harry's got us, we lost the sponsorship over that. I say we. I didn't lose anything. They didn't sponsor my show. But Maddox lost the sponsorship because of that contact. So give yourselves a round of applause. You did it. You won on that one. Great. Good job, Justice Mob. Job Lynch Mob. You won that round. You sure showed me. Guys, I'm sorry we keep losing the stream. I need to cool off for a second. I'm going to head on over to the Pod Awful mini fridge for some refreshments. How do you feel about that? That was weird. Did the sound cut out weirdly for you guys during that, or is that just me? All right. I think this whole contraption's falling apart. This thing's been working fine for the past couple weeks now. We've had plenty of good shows. We've had 4 great episodes. We had Friday Night Hangout Explosion this past Friday, and now all of a sudden this thing can't handle anything. I got nothing weird going on the computer. I have no idea what's happening right now. Okay, there we go. Drink your Dr. Peppers at home. Join that mug club. Let's get back to the Maddox stuff, though, shall we?
You're welcome.
Anyway, I left off saying I'm 100% justified in what I did to Asterios. He tried to take my life away, so I called his work to scare him. And they asked me, what do I want him to do? And I said, I just think you guys should have this information the same way the dickheads did with Harry's, the sponsor for Madcast. And they're, shouldn't you know that someone on that network uses the N-word? Oh, shouldn't Weber Shandwick know that one of their employees who claims to be a representative of their company on his LinkedIn profile is paying people online to harass a person? Shouldn't they know that? And so the HR person sent me to their lawyer, which is never good. That's not helpful for me. It's also not helpful for him, but it's certainly not helpful for me if they're sending me to the lawyer. They're trying to get rid of me. But the lawyer said, send me the screenshots and we'll take care of it. We'll do something. And again, I didn't want to. I have the screenshots. I still have them in my email. I never sent the guy that email. I still have them. And I started to compose the email, and I went, no, the point was to scare him. It wasn't to actually make him lose his job. And I never sent the email, and thus they did not fire him. But they did talk to him. They talked to him, and it put the fear of fucking God in him. I can tell you that. He wasn't happy. And let me tell you something. It fucking worked. I never had to hear tell no Asterios Kokonos ever again. All of a sudden, he wasn't paying people. He wasn't trying to fuck with my life after that one. Isn't that weird? That little worm. Fucking no goddamn balls. So why did I sign that affidavit? Because it occurred to me. It occurred to me that in all of this, and all the stuff that Maddox was doing in this dumbass lawsuit, this stupid thing I absolutely did not agree with, I did agree with Asterios having the worst time of his life. I definitely agreed with that, and I agree with that to this day. That's how fucking shitty a person Asterios Kokonos is. So I definitely agreed with that. And I realized, oh, wait, and you guys might not know that. I don't know what you guys know. I haven't kept up with any of this shit in years now. So I can only tell you from what I remember and what I know. But Asterios, he was, I mean, that was the worst time of his life, and he hasn't recovered from it ever since. And I am happy to have signed my name to making his life miserable. And again, I would do it 1,000,000 times over. I wish him the worst. I hope he gets cancer. I hope his mother is shot in front of him. I would never do that. It's not a violent thing. I'm not calling for violence. I just hope whatever the absolute worst thing that could happen in his life, I hope it happens to him. He deserves it. To me, I would think that your wife leaving you for being allergic to you would be the worst thing that could ever happen. But Asterios' life is so fucking pathetic, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Meanwhile, my life has gotten way cool, all right? Much better, and better. Of course, until this computer thing. I don't know what's going on with this computer. So I felt like I had to address those two things. Why didn't I go with Dick? Well, Dick maybe doesn't lie about rape lists, but he did lie about a job lynch mob. That was a lie. Why did I sign the affidavit on the dumbest lawsuit in the universe? Well, because Asterios is my mortal enemy, and I wish him the worst in life. And also, it was funny. I liked the idea that he would see my name in all of this, and he'd be miserable. And by the way, I've still never, ever heard any tell of no Asterios doing anything weird to me again. No Asterios trying to make sure I don't survive again. So my guess is it worked. And also, again, Maddox's claims against Asterios are probably the closest to being legitimate of any of the claims in his dumbass lawsuit, his gay lawsuit, okay? Got him. Not a fun stream, says Gatobot Show. Why not? Why aren't you having fun? That's on you, man. Fuck, he got in my system. Help? Wait, what? What are you talking about? Analyzing. Do I have a thing? Jesse has become the Miami sound machine. Guys, this is the Pod Awful hoodie, the cult hoodie. I don't know if you can see the logo there. It's got the big cult logo on the back, though, as well. Dropping in at work. Welcome, Natasha. This stream is funny. Thank you. I am being hacked, says Aries. Well, I hope that's not true. But if you are being hacked, it might be by a mysterious hacker known as 571972. We'll talk about that later. So, let's go to Maddox's bedroom, a phrase I thought I'd never have to say again. Now, I spent the week with Maddox one time. You guys know this. I went to LA and I stayed at Maddox's place the whole time I was there, so I've seen this up close and personal. Now, when I was staying there, I did not stay on his bed, by the way. I slept on the couch out in the living room. He does have other rooms. Let's not make this more pathetic than it has to be, okay? Let's be petty but not be liars about it. That's the difference between us and certain other people out there. It's funnier if it's true. So let's just focus on the true stuff. This is not his entire apartment. You guys have seen the apartment. This got released because someone tried to dox Maddox. And, of course, you can't dox Maddox at this point because he'd already been doxed. That's a one-time deal. You can't be doxed again. I've been doxed. If somebody puts out my address again, my old address again, then I'm not being doxed again. And people wanted to make fun of this, too, because the podcast studio is in the back there. Now, in fairness to Maddox, and this is the only way I'm going to be fair to him, in fairness to Maddox, this room is gigantic. I mean, this is a big room for a bedroom. It's a big room. It's got 2 levels to it. It's hard to tell on here, but this is a platform that the bed is on, and it's a very big room. And so what would you use this extra space for if not your podcast studio? I don't know. Now, me personally, I would probably, if I was 40 years old, I'd have a separate room. I'm 33 years old, and I've got a separate room. I've had a separate room for my podcast for some time now. I certainly wouldn't have it where the guests walk through the bedroom to get to the podcast studio. If anything, I'd put the bedroom on the back side and then the podcast studio up front so that guests aren't walking past my bed. And I would especially do that. The number one way I would do that is if, of course, my bed was covered in slime. Ladies and gentlemen, it is slime time. It's time to jam. Let's take a look at the slime sheets. Now, I don't know anything about video games because I'm not a loser. I'm not gay. But apparently this big blue smiley face on Maddox's bed is from a video game, which makes it even lamer, even worse. And this is embarrassing. So not only are you bringing ladies over, hopefully, to see this, but you're also, anybody on your podcast walks right through here, they see your clothes on a clothes rack in the middle of the room. He's got a closet, by the way, which makes this clothes rack even stranger. On the other side of this photo, where you can't see it, there's a closet there. Why are clothes spilling out into the rest of the space? I don't understand that. But he's got this big smiley face comforter. He has sharks above his bed. It is god-awfully embarrassing. I feel real bad. Now, when I stayed there, he did not have these things. That did not exist there, okay? I didn't see any of this stuff. I definitely would have reported on it had I seen it. And as it's been pointed out many times, his bedside tables appear to be cardboard boxes, which is very funny. Very, very funny. I love getting petty, but most of this stuff, it's already been pointed out. The sharks, honestly, are the most egregious part to me. And I'll tell you why. We know something that the dickheads don't know over here at Pod Awful when it comes to the slime sheets. When it comes to slime time, we know something. And it honestly, it kind of ruins it a little bit. I'm going to warn you right now. If you don't want the entirety of the fun ruined for you, don't listen to this part, okay? But Metal Jess told us about this comforter. And Metal Jess, of course, Maddox's ex-girlfriend. And she said, he's got a t-shirt with the exact same design on it. And what she told us is she would complain when he would wear that t-shirt. So women hate this. Women hate this design. A woman complained about his t-shirt. And again, I think Maddox is a funny guy. This is a sort of classic Maddox kind of thing to do. This is the thing only he would think of, where she complained about his t-shirt so much, he said, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. And he got this comforter to force his girlfriend to sleep in the design that she hates. Now, that is very funny, but that's a one-night deal. You force her to sleep in it for one night, then you take it out to the garbages, okay? You set it on fire. You forget about it. You go, ha, 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 ha. $80 well spent. And then you never sleep in that again because you're a 40-year-old man. I don't think any other human being, other than the person you share a bed with, your wife, should ever see where you lay your head as a man. I've had many people now come to me and go, well, let's see your bed, Jesse. Let me tell you something. Nothing in my bedroom has a print on it, has a pop culture design. Trust me, my bedroom is probably the most adult bedroom of anybody here. You'd be shocked. Looking at this room, this is why I've got a separate room for it. I can't live like that. I don't function that way. I'm not a putting sharks and pop culture things above my bed type of guy. I'm just not. But I would never show you my bedroom. I would never show you where I lay my head. I would never show you where I lay a poop, okay? Where I make a log. I think it's filthy. I think it's disgusting. And again, this was a funny practical joke to pull on his girlfriend, and then he should have burned the comforter so that no one ever found out. Here we are now, existing in a world where everyone found out, and now Maddox is losing his mind.
And all I can say is I thank Dad for making me strong.
Join our cult on Facebook. podawful.com/cult.
Now, I see somebody in the chat room, they say, my bedroom has no decorations like a prison cell. That's also bad, okay? It's got to be somewhere in between that and a prison cell. That you can't be that creepy thing, that girl meme, where they're like, guys really, have a living room like this and expect a girl to come over or whatever. And it's just one chair and a TV and nothing on the walls. I've said this many times to many. Again, this is something I do. We criticize bedrooms and living rooms all the time on this show. Okay? That's why this is almost nothing to me. I understand why the Dick Show is having so much fun with this, but I've done that so many times. This is very low level for me. But I will say this. One of my big criticisms all the time when I had people coming on the Hangout and I'd see their room, there'd be nothing on the wall. And I go, you look like a mental patient. Just a completely bare wall. What is going on? There are in-betweens. You don't have to have a Lego man on your wall or nothing. You can just have art. Here's, guys, let me help you out, okay? Let me help you out in the being a guy and decorating department. Just get a painting of an old wooden ship. That's all you need, okay? Even just one is better than nothing. Get a painting of an old wooden ship, and you'll be 100% fine. Then you don't look like a mental psychopath. Why would I pay for that? That's gay. I like the shooting part of TJ's room. Yeah, one of our listeners, instead of criticizing his room, we just watched him shoot a gun out his window. Just print art, put in frame. Thank you, Dog Munch. Exactly. Just print art, put in frame. And when you say it like a caveman, it makes it sound not as gay, right? Just print art, put in frame. Hang on wall. It's that simple, folks. That simple. That's all you got to do. All right, now let's get to the exciting part for my people. And I'm not going to go over, I'm not going to relitigate everything I said to Maddox on Facebook already. Because I don't have to. Because the Dick Show covered it for me. And here I have their leaked bonus content. And by the way, when I say leaked, I mean a dickhead leaked it to me. They sent it to me. And I was going to go over all this stuff, but why should I do it when someone else has already read it all for me? No, I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to play the whole thing. In fact, normally I would never play somebody else's bonus content like this it just does happen to be both about me and by the guy who kind of inspired a bunch of nerds to leak my bonus content to try to get Maddox's sponsors lost. So you owe me one, Dick, okay? I know you don't feel that way, but you owe me this one. I'm just going to play a little. It's just a tiny little taste. Don't worry. I would never do this otherwise. This is, for the first time ever, The Dick Show talking openly about little old me. Now, they've mentioned me here or there. Here or there, they've alluded to me. They've edited my name right on out of the show before. All sorts of things. But this is the first time where it's just straight up they talking about me. Okay? Now, I did not post any of this stuff with that in mind. I did it because Maddox was driving me nuts with this. I spent 3 years telling him good ideas and what to do. He waited 3 years and then spurged out like a retard and started trying to get people's jobs taken from them. And by the way, the guys whose jobs he's trying to take away from, like, these are losers. These are big, fat, ugly retards. Doesn't mean you should try to take away their livelihoods, Maddox. Okay? That's my position. Let's take a look, though. This is exciting, huh? Let's watch this. This is The Dick Show. Now, this is unedited, which is tough to watch, man. I don't know how people watch this. They just sit there and they stare for really long periods of time. And I know on this episode, I've had the entire stream go down. And it's probably about to do that again. But when everything's working right, the show just goes and goes and goes and goes, and I just keep talking. But on this show, they do things differently. So I will have to skip around a little bit anyway here. But this is Dick, okay, if you don't know. You might not recognize him. He's this guy who needs a haircut. And then this is Sean. He's sort of, I guess he's a Twitch gamer or something. And then here's the screenshots that they're reading of mine. So my picture is on here. My words are on here. Take a look. Okay, is it play? I can't tell if it's playing or if they're just staring.
Here we go.
It's dog shit, but it's,
yes, it is dog shit. Here we go. This is the one. Now we're getting juicy.
Now we're getting juicy. Okay, see, that's my name. And now we're getting juicy. Of course, he means we're getting Jesse.
Here we go. This is...
Now, who is this?
This is someone by the name of Jesse Heck.
Now, who is Jesse Heck? That's one of my alts on Facebook. Jesse Heck. Guys, you can start calling me Jesse Heck. I go by Jesse Heck now. No, Jesse PS. And Sean knows who I am. He doesn't recognize the name Jesse Heck, but Sean and I have spoken many times. You know, I was on Maddox's show when Sean was on there. We've emailed before. So Sean, he doesn't follow all this stuff. So Dick's explaining it all to him.
Do we know this guy?
It's Jesse PS.
Who? Dick, who? Nobody's ever heard of me. It's Jesse PS. I'm sorry, who is that? Wait, Jesse who?
Okay. It's Jesse from, whatever, Pod Awful.
Oh, man. All right, Dick. Again, this episode's about Maddox. I ain't here to make fun of Dick, but come on, man. That was... I mean, can we take away an Oscar from an actor for how lousy a performance that was? That was bad. It's Jesse PS. I mean, he immediately knows Jesse PS. It's not like that's my real name. My name's not PS. It's Jesse PS. And then Sean's like, oh. And he's like, Jesse from Jesse from Pa. He goes, Jesse from Pa. Well, what would Pa be if not Pod Awful? And then he goes, Pod Awful. Let me play that one more time because this is, I mean, again, let's get petty here. I'm pretty petty, so...
Here we go. This is the one. Now we're getting juicy.
Uh-huh.
Here we go. This is...
Now, who is this?
This is someone by the name of Jesse Heck.
Do we know this guy?
It's Jesse PS.
Okay.
It's Jesse from, whatever, Pod Awful.
Oh, whatever, Pod Awful. Jesse from, whatever, Pod Awful. I think you knew. Okay? I think you knew. No big deal. Everything's fine. No big deal. Fake pause, they're saying in the chat room. Jesse PS from Pawn Awful. Yeah. Let's get juicy. Okay, so a little bit embarrassing there at the start, but that's fine. No big deal. Water off a duck's back. Who cares?
The only show that was on Maddox's, the only other
Yeah.
podcast that was on his network, other than like Game Fart or whatever dog shit things were.
Now I got to point this part out, okay? The only other show on Maddox's network other than Game Fart. So you remember the name Game Fart, but not Pod Awful? Come on now. Come on, son. I mean, listen, in this text exchange he's about to read, and he reads a lot of it. He reads a lot of my words. I'm essentially puppeteering Dick in this thing. My words be coming out his mouth. And again, that's not the point of this. I'm not trying to make this a big, like, ooh, look at me, I'm on there. That's not what this is about. I don't care. The thing I find interesting, though, is in this conversation, I was talking to somebody during all this other than Maddox who kept butting in. And I actually forgot that there was another show on the network. I said I'm the only other show from Maddox's podcast network. I forgot about Game Fart. So you're going to tell me, and I'm friends with Lord Matthew, the host of Game Fart. You're going to tell me I don't remember Game Fart, but you remember Game Fart right off the top of your head? But Pod Awful is, I mean, that, come on. Come on, man. That's like, I mean, that's another level of pathetic. But it ain't about that.
Or whatever dog shit things were.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get it so it zooms correctly.
Yeah, you definitely want that
So
correct
everybody can
zoom
see
on
it.
there. So this is the part of the show where they do a lot of zooming, just a lot of resetting type. This is really how it streams live. I can't help this, guys. This isn't my fault. I'm gonna make you sit through it like I had to. People pay to see
here
this.
we go. Okay. So this is Jesse's response. I guess he's finally had enough.
Well, I didn't think they were working together for a while now. I mean,
Good eye, Sean. Yes, you're apparently the only person who's realized that.
and I don't even know if they're friendly. I don't fucking know. I don't know anything.
Jesse signed the affidavit saying that Asterios was harassing him.
And I'd do it 1,000,000 times over. Fuck Asterios.
The lawsuit.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I have thoughts about it, but I'll read what he said first.
Now, I would like to know his thoughts about the affidavit thing. He never gets to that. I would like to know what his thoughts are on that.
It's interesting. I never thought he would do anything like this.
well,
But it must have gotten tiring just seeing the same report this guy every day, like 20, 30 times a
I
day.
guess like I always err on the side of where's the trick.
Right.
That's how I think.
Yeah. Well,
Yes, my reputation precedes me. Sean, a fucking genius. I love that. I'll never be more delighted than to see people going, okay, where's the trick? There was no trick. I mean, I was really just mad at Maddox for doing this, but I love the idea that everyone has to be careful. Okay, what's he up to? He's chaotic neutral. I don't know. This could go any way. He's truly insane. I don't know. Even Sean knows you probably shouldn't trust anything Jesse ever says or does. And I agree. You probably shouldn't. It's probably not a good idea.
That's how I think.
yeah. Well, this is what he says. This is what Jesse says. Well, now Doxxes Herrera will be a meme. Great job.
And they say you can't get intent and I mean dripping with sarcasm.
Great job.
Yeah, great job.
Now
Yeah.
you've just
Right.
blown it. Where is the white nationalist? And why would you be worried if there was one? Stop overinflating this shit, man. These dudes.
So just in case you aren't up to date on all this and you refuse to go figure it out for yourself, because I posted all of this to our Facebook cult, our Facebook group. It's all in there. Maddox was not only trying to get people's jobs taken from them and dox them, basically, but he was also claiming that they were sharing his info with white nationalists. And the white nationalist he listed was Stefan Malinukes. So the evil white nationalist. Now, look, I'm the first guy to say an Armenian person isn't white, but does Maddox really have to worry about white nationalism now? Come on, man.
Doofuses are gay for still caring, but you give them the ammunition to still care.
And he's talking to
Maddox.
Yeah.
This is exactly what your first giant fuck up was. Making a mountain out of a molehill when it came to that bullshit rape list thing. This is fascinating because he would have been there during that time.
Oh, yeah.
Jesse and Maddox have known each other for years. Ever since the split, ever since the end of The Biggest Problem, and probably before that.
Not before that. Only at the end of it.
Before that.
I told you that back then, and you just won't learn.
Right.
You're years too late to try and push back on this.
Yeah.
This is like if Chris Chan just now for the...
All right, so I'm going to stop it there. You can read the rest on your own right there in the screenshot. I'm almost the entire rest of this. We're not even halfway through, and I'm most of the rest of this video. Let's click to another random spot here, see if they're reading anything of mine. Let's see.
Jobs because they doxed what you made public info thanks to that ridiculous lawsuit. This isn't an eye for a fucking eye, and it's very much too little, too late.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's, of course, completely right.
Jesse was right. Alt-right. All right, so Sean says it. I was right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
To everybody but Maddox.
Oh, yeah, here you are, very much. And now that you're publicly discussing all this, you're still only doing it in the bubble of your social media.
Yeah.
Why not hit back in the same fashion as Dick if he's the real ringleader? Why not a podcast? Why not on your YouTube channel? I think there's a reason.
Yeah.
Your instructions in these posts are more direct influence than I have ever seen Dick use on his audience. And you sued him for millions over that. What are you thinking, man?
Yep.
P.S. You can't be doxxed twice.
That was
Lol.
what I was exactly.
P.S.
Like, it's out there. It's out there. You once there's no putting the
Can't put the
once
shit
she's not a
back up your
virgin
asshole.
anymore.
It's great. It's such a great point. Why aren't you doing it on YouTube then?
I know. He's
'Cause
just
you're-
probably just sick of it.
You're
He's
directly telling people to just constantly fuck with someone.
because
Constantly.
and I don't know Jesse, but if he's a lot like a lot of people who
Yeah.
have kind of been through this, it's like he doesn't seem to like aggressive stupidity.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be stupid, but people who don't know they're stupid
Yeah.
and they're very motivated.
Yeah.
I mean, Maddox
I agree
is
with you.
he is an aggressively stupid person. It's fucking it's just pathetic.
Here he goes.
It's fucking pathetic.
Here's his response, and he's split it up. He's
No, I actually don't care about Maddox's responses. Let's see if there's anything else good here toward the end. Again, I'm not going to play the whole thing. This is their bonus content. If you want to see the whole thing, I guess join his Patreon. There's something you thought I'd never say. Or don't. I'll just send you the link. No, I won't do that. I will not share this. If this gets leaked, by the way, it was not me. I'm not sending this to anybody. One of the dickheads sent this to me. I'm not going to be sharing this link with anybody else.
Any of this means
alcohol can only do so much to numb that pain.
Oh, he's reading. That's Maddox talking.
That's why I switched to hard drugs, Sean.
yeah,
Because all the people that respect me
right.
don't respect me. Is that the last one? Is that the?
I think
numb
they
to the
say
pain?
something
Is that the last
about me
one?
at the end here. Let's just keep listening for a second.
Yeah. Let me see if there's one on Reddit.
Oh, hang on a second. I know there's more. I think 80s girl, Dick's girlfriend, aka Maddox's former cum dumpster. By the way, I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the show before, but between Maddox dating 80s girl and Dick dating her, I actually had a turn on that tricycle as well. I've never really brought that up because I thought it was no big deal. Maddox never even had a problem. I told him, I was like, I dated her for a while too, right? And he was like, oh, really? And he didn't seem to care. It was really weird. But anyway, we've all been there. But I think 80s Girl hands him some screenshots or something. It's more stuff with me. Let's see.
When we just have a beer, would be pouring blah, 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 blah. I think he's responding to somebody else. Somebody else said I won. Where is that? Did you see that one? Take a screenshot of that if you can.
Is that like a dick is the winner thing?
Yeah.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
Where'd you
Hasn't
find
won
this?
anything.
Scott says he fucked 80s Girl too.
Oh, lunatic.
A lot of people have, but I mean, that's no big deal. No pussy grapes or chump syndrome, guys. All right, now this is the actual show. It's not frozen right now. This is just happening. I have to pick on this.
What are you guys saying?
Well, just do it live, man. Just come on. Killing my live show
I need
right
to
now.
numb the pain for all the people who don't respect me or like me, Sean.
Right.
That's something Maddox said
Who
about
you
him.
respect.
Who I respect.
Who don't care about you.
What the hell kind of way to think is that? It's sick.
I don't.
That's a rare insight into a fame whore, like a sick,
I can't wrap my
narcissistic
head around
fame
it.
whore.
Yeah.
In the chat room, they say, "Hey, if someone explains the VV thing to me, and Jesse says my name aloud, I'll join the Pizza Fund max level permanently." Oh, I mean, I don't care if you join the Pizza Fund or not. VV is virtual violence. It's the gaming clan that one of our goons, Rufio Fionic, started. So everybody started using VV. Thanks for that, Ivan K. VV Ivan K.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't care if people don't like me.
Yeah.
No one has ever liked me.
Well.
I mean, enough people that actively
Yeah.
don't like me, even since I was a kid. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
you don't like me.
Right.
Big fucking deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I liked
adults.
you,
So
dude.
you got over that when you were young, I would imagine.
I'm like, oh, this is odd.
Yeah.
Why does this guy give me so much tood?
Yeah.
By the way, the top level of Pizza Fund's $40. So Ivan, good luck, man. And also, you have to do the 6-month version. So okay, so they're trying to get the screenshot. 80s Girl or somebody's
okay. This
handing
is
him screenshots.
to cap it off. Jesse says, "I'm not sure declaring himself the winner." Oh, okay. Here we go. We can just read it off this. I'm not talking about defamation as in mean words.
That's
I'm talking
Maddox.
about you're extremely ignorant as to what's been going on. This has been going on for 3 years.
Who's
He's
he telling
talking
this
a
to?
girl,
Somebody else,
Somebody who's
okay.
chimed in about
right.
something who says, knock it off. I'm not talking about defamation as in mean words. I'm talking about the legal definition of defamation. False things they've said that have caused me damages. I don't think there's anything to damage, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And talking about someone isn't harassment, but they coordinate harassment campaigns from
yeah.
there. And it's all at the behest.
That's right. We have secret meetings.
It's all at the behest of their pedophile defending leader.
What?
Oh, somebody said, where can we go vote no news? And I said, go leave a comment on Maddox's website. Oh, in the comment form. Sorry for giving you traffic. Also, it's very naive of you to think that he'd just stop.
Dick's Maddox voice sounds like Jesse's Lawtism voice. Yeah, that is my Nick Recchietta impression. George, Maddox, buddy, defamation is not defamation if it's true.
If I talk to him, this is his livelihood. He has to keep inventing excuses to attack me, like he has for years, even though I've stayed quiet
Yeah.
and kept to myself.
That's what you've done. That's why there's a restraining order out there.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah,
that
you-
was Jess's fault. No, nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
He attacks and provokes until he gets a response.
He is doing Nick Reccietta's voice. That's the irony. Maddox doesn't sound anything like that.
Lawsuit, and then cries victim like a coward. Jesse, I'm not sure him declaring himself the winner and winning is crying victim. He's constantly...
Now, I know I said at the beginning of this, Dick did victimize himself at the beginning of all this, but the thing that Maddox is talking about isn't him victimizing himself.
Crying.
See, I'm very fair, okay? I'm not on a side, man.
Victim. He's the biggest victim in the universe. Oh, I'm Jewish.
All right, I don't know what that's about. They do talk about me more in there. There's some other good little clip of Dick just being curious about me. I wish I had made a time code about this. I think it's actually when Sean gets up. Let me play this part right here, and then we'll be done with this bit.
You gonna leave this running?
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. So Sean just gets up to pee during the middle of the show.
I'm the biggest victim in the universe.
And then Dick doesn't really know how to fill the time. So Dick doesn't know how to fill the time right now, so he's got to say whatever comes to his mind. And, of course, what's on his mind? What's this Jesse kid up to? I don't know.
Have you ever heard that? Who is less of a victim than me?
Well,
I don't think anyone really even feels sorry for the lawsuit, Bill. I'm the last person in the world anyone should feel sorry for.
great. So tell the truth about the job lynch mob with UCB. You got it, man. You gotta. You can't keep lying about that one. It's too much. And that's what started all of this.
I hope it doesn't come across as that. Whereas alcohol can only do so much to drown his pain.
I think he talks about me here. Hang on a second.
I started drinking long before I was in pain. Someone who clearly doesn't understand how alcohol works. Oh my God.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mint Salad. I know I asked you to call in, but we just moved
Fake
past
laugh.
it so fast.
That was a fake laugh. You're right. There's a lot of fake laughs in here. A lot of them. All right. I gotta fill this dead air. I mean, it is not frozen, by the way. This is him. He's moving. He's alive here. He's breathing. Isn't that weird? Look how fucking still he is. That's creepy as hell. Oof.
I mean, after that bollocking from Jesse,
Rollicking.
there's a lot. He's done a lot of shit. He's done a lot of bad shit. And he doesn't think very well. That's the problem with Jesse. He doesn't think correctly. Like when I first asked him to come on the show in the very beginning, he immediately started going after listeners' families, families. It's like, well, yeah, but I can't bring you on if you're going to do that. The fans are top above everybody. You cannot attack fans. It's a bad look, Chief. It's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Unacceptable. You got to know that shit.
You answer.
No, that is not what happened. Just to be clear. I mean, I don't blame him for his memory being foggy on this, but I was invited to be on the Dick Show long before this thing he's talking about where I was doxing families or talking about fans' families. The thing he's talking about is this guy, Joel. Well, I don't even know what to call him because I called him this name that I thought was his fucking name. And it turns out it is, but I didn't know he went by a different name on the internet. So people started saying I was doxing him. I just didn't know. I didn't know he had two different names. So I have one in my head. I don't remember what the other one is, and I don't know if it's the real one or not. So now I'm too afraid to say it, I guess. Fuck it, Joel Chaco. I don't know if that's the real one or the fake one. I said the fake one. I said the real one. And then I just said his mom's first name. That's all I said. I said this guy Joel's mom's first name just to spook him out a bit. That's all that was. He had already made it a rule to never talk about me on the show long before that happened. Long before that happened, Dick had a rule not to talk about me on the show. And the reason that happened in October of 2016. The reason he did that is because on my show, I criticized his show. But two, I proved that Dick had invited me to come on his show and yet hadn't brought me on yet. That he had asked me how to set up his cameras so that he looks less bald, which is true. And three, because I raised some interesting questions. And I don't give a shit about this stuff anymore. I don't even remember what those questions were now. But at the time, it was like, if anybody ever asked this, it would be devastating to his worldview, to the worldview that Dick is in the right and Maddox is in the wrong. The reason he didn't bring me on the show is because I'm the one guy who could undo everything that he had built up with just a couple of questions. That's why. I know that's why. That all happened long before the quote-unquote doxing and all this made-up bullshit like that. But whatever, no big deal. But I do like the way he's sort of... you can tell he's like considering, should I ask him to come on the show to get the hot goss or...
Questions?
No, I was just talking, running my mouth. Okay. Let's see if I had anything. You know what? I'll do it next time.
I thought he said one more thing.
Fuck it. Everybody that's been... Do I do...
No, okay. I guess that's it. Anyway, there you go. So that's my big debut on the Dick Show. Now, the long-standing thing... Again, it was a rule for years not to even say my name on the show. During the entire episode where he changed the rules of what a job lynch mob is, he used Rucka's name in place of mine. It's not a joke. It's episode 32 of his show. Go back and listen to that and realize he's using Rucka as a proxy to talk about me. He had all these rules. We caught him a few times editing my name out when other people would bring me up, things like that. And now it's like, well, I don't know. And people's thing with me for a long time has been, Jesse just wants to try to get on the show. He's just trying to get that clout. He's trying to get on there. He just wants Dick to say his name. He said it before. Man, again, I was Facebook friends with him before all this stuff started. I don't give a shit about that. Jesse just wants to get on the show. Well, a lot of those people are probably going to say, okay, here's Jesse taking his victory lap. There's his face on the show. They showed my face on the show. They said my words. They parroted my words. I mean, doesn't get any better than that, really, except for me just saying it myself, I guess. It was a bonus show. I didn't know. But I don't care. I really don't care. It ain't about the Dick Show. It ain't about any of that. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you in a second why I don't care about that stuff. I haven't cared about that in over a year. You know, if I ever cared about it, getting on his show. I did one time try to sneak onto his show. I'm going to tell you about that. I'll put that out in the open just to kind of finally clear the air here so we're all on the up and up when it comes to the trolling. You know, I've been trolling Maddox for the past year and a half at least. We came up with this thing called the Kiss Crew Club to be his fan club. We would constantly mock his co-host Ron Babcock. We were doing all this stuff to just kind of laugh at Maddox for all this time. So I'll just get all the trolling out in the open here so that nobody has to worry about what it is I'm up to, because I'm not up to anything. I've been over it for over a year. I'll tell you about that in a second. Real quick, though, I do want to tell you about the Pizza Fund. We don't have ads on our show. We don't have sponsors. I demonetized my own YouTube channel. I'm the only person on the internet who's going to bother doing that sort of thing for you. So I hope you'll consider this. The guys that we're talking about tonight are the ones that made sure I could not ever join Patreon again. And I do want to finally say a big public thank you so much for getting me kicked off of Patreon, because as a result of that, listeners of my show built me my own Patreon long before Dick decided to build his own Patreon and then stay on Patreon anyway. I was freed from the shackles of Patreon thanks to your trolling, and all it did was make it so that I definitely make way more money than Asterios Kokonos has in years. So thank you so much to that. Join the Pizza Fund. Get bonus content. We do 2 more episodes every week, okay? Every Wednesday and Friday, we do episodes in the Pizza Fund. Check it out, podawful.pizza. More show coming in just a second.
Support the show. Join the Pizza Fund. Podawful.pizza.
Pizza.
Podawful.pizza.
And real quick, just so people see, I never really show this, but here's all of the content that's in the Pizza Fund, and it's years and years and years worth of content. I never really show this stuff. Here's our latest stuff here at the top. This is our Friday night hangout explosion we had this past Friday. This is our Wednesday show from last week. It's called You Will Conform, Bigot. I always put out a preview version of all of our Wednesday shows, like the first 10 minutes or so of it will go out. Here's a show called Bobby Leaks, where we talk even more in-depth secret information about some of our goons. This one's about Bob Hickman, a.k.a. God Enter My Body Like a Body My Same Size. Lots and lots of stuff. I mean, tons of excellent content and stuff that we could not get away with doing on the main feed. As a matter of fact, one of those shows, World War, that we do in here. Here's a World War right here. In fact, it's Unmasking the Dickhead Leaker. Here's a Dick Show related World War we did. The actual reason I got taken off of Patreon is because one of my levels was called World War. They said war was against their terms of service. That's why I lost my Patreon. No joke. So these things right here are what got me kicked off of there. Tons and tons of stuff, shows that don't even exist anymore, archives, all sorts of stuff that dates back years and years and years before there even was a Pizza Fund. Many levels to choose from $1 up to 40. Thank you to Ivan for joining the Pizza Fund, by the way. VV Ivan. Podawful.pizza if you want to help us out there. I do want to talk about trolling Maddox, though, and trolling the Dick Show, just to sort of wrap all this up here. You know, like I said, we've been trolling Maddox for a long, long, long time. And obviously we trolled the Dick Show as well. Some of that stuff was retaliation. Some of it was just good fun. Just, hey, isn't this funny that we're fucking around on the internet? I do believe that Dick essentially told his listeners more or less. Now, like I said in that thing that Dick just read, like I said in that thing to Maddox is now being more direct to his followers than I've ever heard Dick be. But in episode 32 of his podcast, which I have here in front of me, I could play it, but I don't feel like it. You can listen to it for yourself. He more or less says, go report what Jesse said to their sponsors. It was a job lynch mob. He called for it. And as a result, I did a little video, and it has made Dick angry to this day. He was complaining about it actually in this stream that I was just playing for you. I made this video. You see, Dick was so proud that he was in a Pizza Hut commercial, which I thought was the lamest fucking... It's like, dude, you're making $25,000 on Patreon. Who gives a shit if you never have a Pizza Hut commercial again? But he's so mad about this still, and I don't really understand it. All I did was let them know some information that might be important to them. You know, that thing I learned from you, Dick. You told me what a job lynch mob is, so I made this video.
Pizza Hut presents,
which is a mashup of the commercial.
Okay. No.
And here's
We're gonna
Dick
need the whole
in it.
team. Move in.
Here he comes.
Try the beach.
I need more light. I need more hat. When you're raped by a pack of
Oh, boy. Oh, he used the N-word. That's not good. You know, when somebody says the N-word, you got to tell the
If you
sponsors.
pass out drunk at a party or whatever, you shouldn't expect to get
shit.
raped.
Yes,
That's
you fucking should.
Damn. And then I played the rape list thing from Maddox's video. Now, again, I don't agree with the rape list thing. And a lot of people would go, at the very least, taking the raped by a pack of N-words comment out of context, that's bad. But, Jesse, you just said you don't agree with the rape list thing, so aren't you being a hypocrite here? Isn't it funny what happens when you take shit out of context that has nothing to do with something else? Isn't it funny how that works? See, to me, that's exactly what happened to me. On a show that had nothing to do with Madcast Media, in my Pizza Fund, in my private content thing, my content was leaked that had nothing to do with anything, and I said the N-word as a joke, just like he did here. Isn't it funny what happens when you take shit out of context, like the way Maddox took that rape comment out of context? So I took a thing I knew was out of context, and I put it in the Pizza Hut commercial, and immediately following that, Pizza Hut took down that commercial, and Dax never made any more money off of it. And he's still very mad about that. I look at that as eye for an eye. Maybe you disagree, Dick. I don't know. But I'm willing to put all that behind me. I hope you are too. I'm fine with, I wouldn't do that again. Again, have I ever done anything like that since then? When you went after my Patreon, when your guys went after my Patreon, when Asterios went after my Patreon, I went after your Patreon. Then when that wasn't happening, I stopped. I'm not like Maddox. I'm not still doing it 3 years later. When you went after my livelihood, I went after your Pizza Hut commercial. I mean, come on, it's barely even an eye for an eye. That's like an eye for an earlobe. So I hope we're all good there. But again, I've been trolling Maddox for a really, really long time. And one of the funny things that happened in all of that, is I actually, it's funny. They made such a big deal about me trying to get on the Dick Show, and like I just wanted them to talk about me on there and stuff. But I actually got a bit onto the Dick Show before. You see, I hacked Maddox's Madcast Media page at one point a couple years ago, and they played my spooky hacker voicemail on there. Now, it's not me in the voicemail exactly. I got a listener of the show to make this happen, but I hacked Maddox's webpage, and I made it so all of his votes said the same number, okay? Because I could get into the back end of it. I was part of Madcast Media. I got into the back end of madcastmedia.com. I made all of his vote counts say 571972. Everything said that. And the dickheads lost their minds over this. There's many theories about what this number meant. And by the way, it does mean something, okay? 571972. There's a whole thread about it. Lots of people weighing in. Dick himself, Dick Masterson, right here, saying, I've been trying to figure it out too. It's no integer max I've ever seen. This number was driving these guys crazy, trying to figure out what does it all mean. And as a result, Dick played a spooky voicemail in his show, which I thought was pretty funny. Take a listen to this. This was, I don't know which episode this is from. This is from the Dick Show SoundCloud, and they played this in there, and this was actually me trolling Maddox. So I used the Dick Show to troll Maddox, and nobody knew. Nobody had any idea. Listen to this.
Hey Maddox, your friendly neighborhood code monkey, 571972 here. I know $30,000 went into building your website.
Now, that voice might sound a little bit familiar to some of our old listeners here. Now, I have obviously pitch shifted that a little bit, but that accent, at least, must sound familiar to some of you. We have a listener, a Swedish brony named Sticky Hoof. So this is how I can prove to you that I was behind all of this. There it is, from the Dick Show. Played on his show, 571972. And here's the original file before I pitch shifted it. Let me quick look this real quick.
Hey Maddox, your friendly neighborhood code monkey, 571972 here.
So that's Sticky Hooves. Actually, that's the first take. Let me find the other one. That was first take. Here's second take.
Hey Maddox, your friendly neighborhood...
No, that's not it. Hang on a second. I'm going to find this second take. I already had it open before, but we kept... the computer kept getting shut down, so I'm not sure where it went. Let me try this one real quick. There's one where I walk him through every line. Sticky Hooves' Swedish accent is so thick, he didn't know how to say any of the words. It was so funny.
Hey, Maddox.
So now I'm telling him how to say 571972. So
your friendly neighborhood code monkey, 571972 here.
See, and you can't hear me on the other end there, but I'm on the other end telling him exactly what to say with all of these things, pronouncing it all for him, all that kind of stuff. Let me see if I can find another spot in there. There's a bunch of
building
silence.
Your website. I know $30,000 went into building your website.
So that's me. So there I am coaching him how to do it. That's the original.
Hey, Maddox.
And then here's the one that got played on Dick's show.
Your friendly neighborhood code monkey, 571972 here. I know $30,000 went into building your website, but I thought I'd offer some free advice for you. Certain get variables can use an SQL injection, including the ones for your vote numbers. If someone knows that, they can literally change the HTML and insert the numbers as text into any HTML or JSON.
All right, so I think you see, I actually trolled Maddox through the Dick Show before. That's pretty amazing right there. But a lot of people, again, I want to harp on this. A lot of people thought that my ultimate goal was to get on Dick's show. And that I would, the day I would gloat, how much I would gloat if something like that happened. And I got Sticky Hooves on his show, which is, was fun for me. But you've never heard me gloat about this. And sure, he just read my name and all that stuff on his show, all that kind of stuff. And to be fair, Dick himself said, if I ever managed to get on his show, I'm quoting him here. He said that I would win. Here's a screenshot from Reddit where someone asks it. So Dick says something about the super arrogant bros coming onto his show. Somebody asks him, what if that piece of shit did call in? Talking about me, Pod Awful. There's Dick talking about Pod Awful. That show he couldn't remember the name of. Here he is saying it right here. What if that piece of shit did call in? What would happen? And Dick responds, there's Dick Masterson. He says, he would win. Now, again, this ain't about winning. This is all about Maddox. Maddox has been a real loser in all of this thing. I hate what Maddox has done with this SJW bullshit. And again, I invite any dickhead to list their job as Walmart New York City so that I may shield you from Maddox. I am your friend in all of this. And if you don't believe this screenshot, by the way, with Dick, I do have the original up here too, by the way. I just want to show you this real quick. I just saw that I've still got this. I have the original right here where Dick responded to somebody, and the guy deleted his original message there, but there's Dick saying he would win. If I ever got onto the show, he says, I would win. And, it's funny. Again, I'm not really interested in that sort of thing, but these guys thought for sure if I ever got onto the show, I would gloat big time about it. Oh, it'd be the happiest day of my life. Now, I told you that number, 571972, means something. And it does. And they were guessing it's a date, it's some sort of hex number. It's if I convert this into hex and then binary and all that. They're trying to figure out all these things. Nobody figured out what the number means. Nobody. And the number was all in there just to troll. I'm trolling Maddox. I'm using the Dick Show, all this stuff. And nobody figured it out. And I thought it was so funny. So I just want to put this out there now. Since no hard feelings and I'm coming clean about all of this stuff and I'm telling you now, it ain't about me trying to get on the show or any of that stuff. I'm not interested, frankly. I'm not interested in coming on the show. But I do want to say this. You want to know what that number means. That number means something that is wild, okay? Now, I could just tell it to you now. I want to just tell it to you now, but there is a part of me that goes, well, Dick did do that lame thing where he pretended to not remember the name of the show. So if you want to know what the meaning of the number is, I only ask this one thing. I'm not trying to get on the show. I'm not. I ask one little thing. And again, you want to know what this fucking number means, man. You want to know it. If you have been invested in all of this, you want to know what 571972 means. Is it a year? It might be. Is it something else? I don't know. All I ask for me to reveal this, and I will publicly reveal it in any way that is best fits. It can be my voice. I can send an email, whatever. I don't care how I reveal it. I will let you guys know what it is, whatever is best for Dick. All he has to do because I heard him say in his stream, should we ask him the hot goss? Maybe we should get, Jesse had access to all this info during his time with Madcast. Maybe I should find out what all of this is. If I could tell you anything, Dick, it's what this number meant. I was so mad nobody ever figured it out. Because I've been trolling both sides since the beginning, essentially, here. Chaotic neutral, man. So I've been dying for people to find out what this number means. All I'm asking for to tell you what this number means is in the next, so that I know you heard this, okay? so that I know you know this episode happened. Just that slight amount of acknowledgement. You don't have to explain this. You don't have to tell anybody. None of that. You don't have to say anything on your show. All I'm asking is, in the next episode you release, after you see this, or hear about it, or whatever, in the description of the episode, and again, it can be complete non sequitur, whatever you want, I just want the acknowledgement of 57-1972. It'll make it much sweeter if you do that, trust me. If it's in the description of the next The Dick Show, I will reveal what this fucking number means. Say fuck Asterios. Are there any guesses what this means? Maybe somebody's already guessed it. Maybe it shouldn't be revealed. Torture them. No, I want them to know. You're not punishing them. You're punishing me. Trust me. You could not be as punished as they are for not knowing what this number means. If anybody wants to know what this number means, it's the guys who are desperate for Maddox gossip. Okay? And all I ask to reveal it is the acknowledgement of putting it in the description of your next episode. You don't have to say this is Jesse related. You don't have to talk about me in the show. I don't ever have to hear my name said. Just put it in the episode. And I'll tell you why I don't care if you say my name or not. I don't care about coming on the show. If I show up on the show, that means I win. I'll tell you why I don't care about it. Let me finish playing that voicemail from 57-1972 real quick.
I hope this makes sense to you since you know code, but if someone were to insert PHP code, I'm wondering if they could change anything they wanted. For future reference, it is probably a bad idea to leave your entire API in a public repository.
Listen carefully.
Especially if you're currently using basically the same code on another, much more popular website. Security through obscurity is a bad system.
Did you hear that part? That part right there was a little weird, right? When he goes, security through obscurity. Security through obscurity. That part sounds a little weird, right? It doesn't sound like the rest of the phone call, does it? Now, let me play for you the undoctored version where I was walking him through how to say all this stuff. Okay? Hang on a second. Let me see if I can get this to quick play here for you. So this is the undoctored version. Here he is laughing at my direction.
It is probably a bad idea to leave your entire API in a public repository.
That's the line right before security through obscurity. Now let's see what he says next.
Wow.
So he's laughing, and then what? What's the next line?
Especially if you're currently using basically the same code on another, much more popular website.
Now, hang on a second. Where's that line?
It's a bad system.
Is a bad system. Hang on a second. He skipped the security through obscurity line. He doesn't say it. It's not in the original recording. He just says, is a bad system. Now, an interesting thing happened when Sticky Hooves was trying to record this line. He couldn't say the words security through obscurity. He couldn't get it through his fucking head how to say that. Not to save his goddamn life, man. And it finally occurred to me, you know what? I do a decent enough Sticky Hooves impression. And I'm going to be pitch shifting this down anyway. So that one line, nobody would notice if, well, that was just me doing a Sticky Hooves voice in the middle of all of that. Nobody would really pay attention to that. And I was right. Over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago now, exactly what Dick said would make me win already happened. I've already been on the Dick Show, and I never bothered telling anybody because it never actually mattered to me. Ladies and gentlemen.
Hot awful, hot awful, hot awful, hot awful, hot awful, hot awful, because their content doesn't suck. Hot awful, hot awful, hot awful, hot awful, hot awful, hot awful, Jesse
I've been in the show the whole time. 57-1972. If you want to know what that number means, we'll see what happens, okay? Oh, boy. Well, it's been fun. Have an awful day, I guess. Bye.
Head over to podawful.com/iTunes and subscribe to us on iTunes. We're live every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern at podawful.tv. Love the show? Keep it going by donating to the Pizza Fund. podawful.com/support. And anything else you need is at podawful.com.